I'm joined today with Ziv Aviram, one of Israel's leading entrepreneurs, founders, and philanthropists. Ziv is the co-founder of Mobileye, one of the leading suppliers of autonomous driving systems. He led Mobileye to one of Israel's biggest IPOs at the time, and then the biggest acquisition at the time by Intel for over $15.3 billion. That wasn't enough for Ziv. He also became the co-founder of Orcam, which is an AI-based company that focuses on helping individuals that are visually impaired. We're talking with Ziv today because last week at the Clinton Global Initiative, Ziv made a very exciting announcement about his next chapter, in addition to being a philanthropist, being the co-founder of EcoBridge, an investment company focused on addressing the most challenging climate issues with some of the most innovative technology solutions. So Ziv, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, and Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I know you just celebrated the Jewish holidays and you're back in Israel, but I'm glad you could join us today. So Ziv, last week was very exciting. You made this announcement on stage with President Clinton. Tell me what EcoBridge is and what the idea behind it is.
Okay, so EcoBridge is a process that started 3 years ago. I started with my family, with my children, the Aviram Foundation. And the first project that we started with in Avaram Foundation is competition among startups in the Middle East and North Africa. Last year we did it in Morocco. It was 780 startups. But what's interesting is that many of those startups try to solve the climate crisis. And I started to dig into it much more. And then I was privileged to be invited to the roundtable by President Clinton around CGI. CGI is the Clinton Global Initiative that does every year. It was a very intimate roundtable, and it was about climate. So during my preparation to the roundtable, and what I heard there, I came to the conclusion that climate crisis is the biggest challenge humanity ever had. And I said, I have to do something about this. I'm from high-tech industry, so what I know is to choose technologies. I know how to take companies globally, and I know how to help them to manage the company, right? So I said, let's use my expertise in this field, and let's start a fund that will invest in technologies that can assist the crisis of climate change. It started a year ago, and when I came to this realization, I came to President Clinton. I said, Mr. President, it's you to blame that I'm aware now of the problem. I would like you to be involved, and I would like you to help with that. And surprisingly, he agreed, because he sees eye to eye what we understand and what he understands, and his family understands, that climate is one of the critical issues that humanity have taken care of it. And we started to work. Since then, I found amazing partners that are experts in this field. We opened the offices already in New York. We recruited all the people. And last week, as you mentioned, we announced that we're opening EcoBridge, or a fund for climate.
Ziv, I know from both your experience as a business leader and now as a philanthropist, you're very keen on collaboration and philanthropy and collaboration through philanthropy. How does EcoBridge as an investment firm connect back to the philanthropy? Will the returns be coming back into the foundation? How are you going to connect these two from both the investment side and the philanthropy side?
Look, when we started our philanthropy, I continued the line of what I did through my business. Through my business, I had privilege to be involved in two companies that both of them bring substantial benefit for humanity. Mobileye will eliminate in a decade, even less, all the car accidents in the world. We're talking about huge problem where 1.5 million fatalities every year, and on top of it, 50 million injured people. So imagine it will be zero in I hope less than decade. But it's very substantial. So when I started my philanthropy, I said I continue the same line that I was privileged to do for a business, which is doing good for humanity. And when you start one thing, the other thing is automatically comes after it. And when you deal with good things, one leads to another. For me, the fund is philanthropic activity. I announced already that all my profits are going back to philanthropy. Of course, for those that will invest in the fund, my partners and everybody, they see it in this business. And it should be like business, because otherwise nobody will invest, because people have to choose where to invest their money. So fund-wise, this is business. For me, it's clear philanthropy. By the way, also President Clinton announced that all this process going back to his activity, philanthropic activity, so at least we see eye to eye the same philosophy of what we're doing with the fund.
Well, it definitely was the buzz of CGI last week, and there was a lot of people talking about this. But as you mentioned, this isn't the only thing you've done this year that has helped you understand and elevate your focus on climate. Earlier this year, you hosted the Avaram Awards in Marrakesh, Morocco. Forbes was proud to be a partner of yours in that project. And it sounds like from what you just described, that also really opened your eyes to the way people in the Middle East and North African regions were addressing climate change. What was, Ziv, the biggest takeaway for you looking at the way entrepreneurs and startups in the MENA region were thinking about climate change?
For us to extend the competition beyond Israel was a very important move, because we decided to do it in the Middle East and North Africa, following the Avaram Awards, the peace process that Israel did with many Arab countries. And for me, it was very exciting to take our expertise, my expertise, and to try to extend it beyond Israel. What was exciting for me, that people are people. People are smart. People as ingenuity, young people want to do good things. And this exposure to young generation, people that really want to leave their footprint and to leave something that they're doing good. Of course, we were exposed to startups that are doing good, because the competition is among startups that's contributing to humanity. But you see the young generation in many countries, and we were involved in most of the countries in the Middle East. This is something that's nice to see, that the very smart young generation growing as ideas, want to succeed, want to do it in a smart way, so they need help, and eager to see how the ecosystem get out there. We were exposed to 780 startups, among them 3 of them that won the competition. You've been there, so you hope that our partners that you were proud about this. It's very moving to see the world as the understanding that doing money is just one part, but doing something alongside something good, it's completely different operate, completely different environment to work. So it was very exciting to see.
Ziv, I have a question for you, maybe a bit more personal. You've been a very successful businessman with some of the biggest prizes of business, so to speak, in terms of IPOs and acquisitions. And now you're focusing on philanthropy. What has been the most challenging part of transitioning from a business person to a philanthropist? What have you had to learn, or what has been the biggest struggle in making that transition?
Interesting question. Yeah. For many years as a businessman, I knew that I, at some point, will do philanthropy. But the excuse is I was too big. It's not excuse. But I think today, people, after I was exposed to what philanthropy does to you, personally to you, as a person, I push today much younger businessmen than I start the philanthropy much further. So for me, the transition was very natural. I didn't feel that I have to prepare myself. It's definitely a different environment, different people. But what I discovered in philanthropy, everybody wants to help to everyone. But you don't see them in business, enemies. I want to succeed and you are my competitor and I need to do something better than you. In philanthropy, everybody wants to cooperate. Everybody wants to help. Even now with the fund. We started fund which is in a way is business. But I don't see it as a business. I see it as philanthropy. But the level of cooperation that people willing to do with us, because we're doing something which is good, and not just for money, is amazing. This environment of being in philanthropy is something that I regret I not started earlier.
Ziv, very, very interesting, and again, I think you're embracing that that approach of collaboration. One other collaboration is you started your foundation really truly as a family foundation, and I know your daughters are deeply involved. All of your children have a role and responsibility. What has it meant to you to do this philanthropic work as a family?
I knew that I want to involve my children for many, many years, and I told them all the time, and I hoped that at some point it will be in the back of their mind. And when I called to my family 3.5 years ago, I told them, there's a time that we're starting a family. I want you as the children to be involved. They were ready immediately. They said, yes, we're waiting for this moment. So also education, your kids, preparation to what they're going to do, it's helpful. But they lived in a home where we always did some entrepreneurial phase. We're doing something. So they knew already that it's going to come. And I'm very proud of my children, not just involved with it, they're running the foundation. We know both of them. They're running the foundation, they involved, they have ideas, they have the directions, what we should do. And I think this is one of my biggest achievements. Family involved with philanthropy in this stage.
Very beautiful. I have one last question for you, Ziv. As I mentioned at the start, I know you just celebrated the Jewish New Year. What is one thing you're optimistic about for the year ahead in just a few words?
Difficult to be optimistic in these days, but I'm optimistic in my nature. When we started to deal with the fund, and I started to look at technologies that can really prevent the climate crisis, I became slightly more slight, because we are still facing a huge problem that I think it's not enough what I'm doing. It's not enough that thousands like me will do. Needed cooperation of many different bodies in order to solve it. It's government level, it's business sector, it's media. In media, I want to say a few words which gives you also some kind of optimism. I came to the conclusion that awareness, for building the awareness, is the most important thing in order to start fighting the climate. Because I think by creating awareness, we will gain two things. One, people will start to understand the problem, so politicians will also choose it as agenda and will start to invest real money, government money, because some of the fields like green energy, capture of carbon, you need government investment first until it will be profitable. You cannot do it with the business sector. But second thing that we can gain by creating this awareness of the problem, people don't know the magnitude of the problem, is by the fact that they have awareness that they will buy smartly. And for this, you need to put labeling on the product in a way that it will be very clear which product contributes and leave the footprint of carbon and which is not. So by creating awareness, which exists already in the young generation, we will start to buy smartly and will push also the big organizations to change the products which is less polluting. So I believe that those two folds that only media can create in a reasonable time will be the beginning of the solution of the climate crisis.
So more awareness. So more awareness, better choices, save the climate.
And push the politician.
And push the politicians. Well, I think we made a smart choice by having this conversation with you today, Ziv. Best of luck with EcoBridge and all of your endeavors. Toda rabah, and thank you very much for spending time with us today.